It is really humbling to be asked to speak to you tonight. When Alex Helmbrecht and Blue Key asked me to give the address, my initial response was, I think you're making a big mistake, but I'll accept. So after I finished, I believe it's fair to say that any complaints you might have should go to Alex. The good news is that when he said I should speak from 5 to 10 minutes, I said, I'll shoot for 5. The reason for my response is that I was painfully aware of one simple dilemma. What could I possibly say that would make this evening more special for this group than it already is? After all, this entire room is full of students, friends, and family that have spent their entire lives to reach this moment. They have strived, struggled, saved, planned, and persevered to get to this point. They've kept their eyes on the prize and made the glorious commitment to bettering not only their own lives and careers, but also improving the lives of their friends, family, fellow citizens, and their country. I'm truly apprehensive. There's little I can say that will make this evening any more special, but nonetheless, I'll try. Lucinda, my wife of 39 years, has taught me that I need to come from my center, to speak from my heart. So, since the last 40 years of my life have been spent in theater, I'll use that lens through which I'll look for tonight's address. We have a saying in the world of drama: theater is life, film is art, and TV is furniture. So, since theater is life, there are 2 men of the theater that I'm going to mention tonight. One is William Shakespeare, and not because he wrote some highfalutin speeches, but because his true genius was that he, perhaps more than any other, understood what it's like to be human and captured so much of this struggle and paradox in his writing. The other is a Russian named Konstantin Stanislavski. He was the guy who spent his entire life trying to answer the question, how do you teach actors how to act? And even today, Stanislavski is the basis for nearly any acting book you would ever care to read. In his play, As You Like It, Shakespeare tells us that all the world is a stage. All the men and women are merely players. They have their entrances and their exits, and each one, in their time, plays many parts. Today, it is projected that each of you will have between 12 to 15 different jobs in your life. 12 different roles to play, 12 different acts, tons of auditions to schedule and prepare for, all adding up to the glorious play of life on which you are about to embark. And not only are you the leading role in this play, you'll also be the one who writes the script. So, how can we learn to play this role well and breathe our own soul into the life of the character? How do we get the audience to believe that they are watching a real live human being struggling for something worthwhile, something that their life literally depends upon? Stanislavski teaches that first you must find the objectives of the character. What is it they want? What are they trying to achieve? What is their driving passion? The next question to be answered are the obstacles. What stands in their way? Who and what are they up against? What do they need to do to overcome these obstacles to get what they want? And that the greater the obstacles, the greater the performance. The next step is to answer, how do they try at each and every moment of the play to get closer to their goal? How does each intention, each word, every action get you closer to your goal? How do you get or make the others that are in your way to change? And finally, we ask, what are your expectations? What excites you about achieving your objective? What enthusiasm does it bring to you to imagine it? Every well-played and believable role will reveal not just a petty want or need, but a true passion and excitement in what they are fighting for. When I first started acting, I tried so hard to follow these precepts. Nonetheless, I often found that it still felt a little bit fake, a little bit phony, and not entirely believable for either myself or the audience. I kept trying to replace myself with a character, to substitute his soul for mine, to pretend rather than to play for real. But then I read yet another book by Stanislavski, in which he explained to his students, the person that you are is 1,000 times more interesting and genuine than any character you might play. I'm going to say that again. The person that you are is 1,000 times more interesting and genuine than any character that you might play. It was then that I realized that to truly give a great performance, I needed to stop trying to be somebody else, to no longer pretend to be someone other than who I am, and to use myself as the foundation for every role, to make their wants my wants, to deal with each obstacle truthfully, to spend each moment paying attention not to myself, but to all those other characters and situations that stood in my way. That's when I truly became a better actor, by no longer leaving myself behind, but to bring all that I am to each role that I play, and to realize that I needed to look at the rest of the cast and all the other characters for my inspiration, to really listen, to respond truthfully each and every time, and learn to play from moment to moment to moment. Each of you have played your different roles every day: the student, the lover, the dear friend, the child, the citizen, and maybe even the parent. In fact, you've learned to shift from each and every role so effortlessly that perhaps you've not even noticed. And all the while, you've been writing your own script, your own lines, and choosing your own actions. And look how well you have played. Tonight, you are all here as a justifiably proud graduate or friend or family member just before the curtain comes down on Act 1. If the statistics are right, we may have as many as 12 more acts to go. But each one can be genuine, passionate, truthful, and end happily if we realize that not only is theater life, but that life is theater, and that all the world truly is a stage. We feed our goals and passions, size up our obstacles, play our actions moment to moment, all fueled with the excitement of our expectations. And this will ensure that each role we play will end in fulfillment. I'd like to conclude tonight with another bit of Shakespeare. In his play, Henry V, Shakespeare pens the pivotal moment when King Henry finds himself in the greatest battle in the history of England, the Battle of Agincourt. 700 British soldiers find themselves up against 7,000 French knights. The English are outnumbered 10 to 1. Henry's troops are exhausted. They have been driven back time and again. They are disheartened, and his goal is to rally them to the greatest victory Britain has ever known. Once more unto the breach, dear friends. Once more. We'll close the wall up with our English dead. In peace, there's nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of the tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard-favored rage. Then lend the eye a terrible aspect. Let it pry through the portage of the head like the brass cannon. Let the brow o'erwhelm it as fearfully it doth the gullet rock o'erhanging jutty its confounded base. Swilled with the wild and wasteful Ocean. Now set the teeth and stretch the nostril wide and bend up every spirit to its full height. On, you noblest English, whose blood is fet from fathers of war proof, fathers that, like so many Alexanders of in these parts, were mourned till even fought and sheathed their swords for lack of argument. Dishonor not your mothers. Now do attest that those that you called fathers did beget you. Be copy now to men of grosser blood and teach them how to war. And you, good yeoman, whose limbs were made in England, show us here the medal of your pasture. Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not. For there is none of you so mean and base that hath not noble luster in your eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds on the slip, straining upon the start. The game's afoot. Follow your spirits, and upon this charge cry, God for Harry, England, and St. George. Thank you for your kind attention.